in the name of peace.
But that peace is a lie.
What does the Star Wars universe look like beyond the Skywalker saga? It's been a long wait, over 3 years since the title was announced, but the suspense was worth it because we've just been treated to the first ever trailer for this groundbreaking series. The ACOLYTE promises to unveil mysteries and adventures in a new era of the Star Wars realm. What secrets will unfold? New characters will we meet? The Star Wars website shared an interview with Leslie Headland, the creator of the series, and updated their database with details about some of the new characters. For the series, we're going back to the High Republic era, which is set around 50 to 100 years before the event of the prequel movies. This was a time when the Jedi and the Republic were at their strongest and most idealistic. This era has already been explored in some really great books. May is described as someone who becomes entangled in the dark mystery, placing her at the heart of a conflict in surprising ways. We see her walking through a village and a market, while Sol teaches young students about meditation, advising them not to rely solely on their eyes. Similar to what Obi-Wan tells Luke in A New Hope, Sol instructs the younglings in meditation, telling them not to trust just their eyes. During this, one child mentions seeing fire when they close their eyes. We are guessing this child is May, and this scene is a flashback. In the story, the forces they face are more sinister than they are expected. So, May is not only a dangerous warrior, but she might also be Sol's former student who had visions of fire when she was young. Visions that eventually became reality. May meets another Jedi character named Indara, played by Kenan Moss. What we know about Indara is that she is a Jedi Master. Indara is known for being really skilled both physically and mentally. Thanks for that bit of info, StarWars.com. May confronts Indar, and the little we see of their fight is pretty cool. This scene stuck with us the most after watching the footage at a last year's Star Wars celebration. The fight mixes elements of Kung Fu. The murders don't seem to make sense. According to StarWars.com, Yor is a Jedi Knight and a guardian from the Jedi Temple who always tries to do his best and follows the rules. Sometimes his strict adherence to the rules might cloud his judgment. Yor might struggle to see the gray areas in situations. Alongside him is another Jedi named Jackie, who is the apprentice to the Master Sol. Even though she's young, she stays calm and acts maturely. Kanaka is a Wookiee Jedi who likes to live alone, which is pretty cool. He's played by Junior Suetamo, who also portrayed Chewbacca in the recent Star Wars movie. It's unusual to see a Wookiee by himself because Chewbacca, who was inspired by George Lucas's dog, usually makes us think of Wookiees as more social. Vestra is even changing in the books and comics right now. There's a scene with a character named Khamir, who used to be a smuggler. Now he makes his living as a trader, finding rare items and enjoying a relaxed lifestyle. To us, this still sounds a lot like a smuggler's life. There is a new character named Mother Anasia. She's the leader of a group of witches who really care about staying independent and keeping their beliefs and powers alive. She says, "This isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who is allowed to use it." I can imagine her clashing with others over this. Centuries ago, the Jedi were more open to collaborating with other Force users. They even attended a gathering called the Convocation of the Force on Jedha. However, things didn't turn out well, so now they might be more cautious about working with non-Jedi, especially a group of witches. In one scene, someone with a red lightsaber really takes down several Jedi, which was surprising. It might just be a dark side user with a red blade, but we are leaning towards them being a Sith. The question now is, if a group of Jedi runs into a Sith of Lord, how does that fit into what the Jedi believe? In The Phantom Menace, it is believed that the Sith have been gone for 1,000 years. Maybe the Sith kills all the Jedi in this scene, and there is no witnesses, or perhaps the Jedi chose to keep quiet about it. We actually think this secrecy could make a lot of sense, especially based on what happens in the High Republic books. Leslie Headland uses some big ideas from the expanded universe both at the beginning and later in the series, which is really exciting. We love that. The ACOLYTE might not link just to the High Republic era, but also possibly to the Old Republic era too. That's all we have to say about the trailer for now. The story will take place during the High Republic era, which is about 50 to 100 years before the events of the prequel trilogy. This was a time when the Jedi and the Republic were at their strongest and most influential. We're glad Lucasfilm is taking the time to properly introduce this era. This era is known for its peak of power and idealism and has been explored in some fantastic books and comics. However, Leslie Heddle assures you that you don't need to be familiar with these to enjoy the story. They're not required reading, but from what we can tell, those who have read them will find the series even more rewarding. For those who have read the book, the series will likely be even more engaging. The trailer begins with Jedi Master Soul, who is known as a wise, respected, and powerful Jedi, strong with the Force. He's also going through some emotional turmoil, which may seem to be connected to Amanda Steinberg's character, May. This is hinted at in the official synopsis for the series. We see May walking through a village and a market where Soul teaches the younglings meditation, advising them not to trust their eyes, much like Obi-Wan tells Luke in A New Hope. One child mentions seeing fire when they close their eyes. Earlier details about this series mentioned that a former student reunites with her Jedi Master to solve a series of crimes. However, the enemies they face are more evil than they expected. So, May is not just a dangerous warrior, she might also be Soul's former student. May might have had visions of fire when she was younger, which later came true. She approaches a Jedi character named Indara. Indara is known to be a Jedi Master with impressive physical and mental abilities. May attacks Indara, and the short fight scene is really cool. This moment stuck with me the most after watching it at the Star Wars celebration last year. The combination of Kung Fu and the Force, especially the way their feet slid across the floor from a Force bush, is just awesome. It looks like we see May attacking another Jedi, which makes it seem like she's the villain. However, I think there's more to the story, especially if she ends up teaming up with Soul. A Jedi named Jord mentions this in the series. This series seems to embrace the stranger, more unusual aspects of Star Wars, not just in background characters, but also in its main ones. For example, there is a Wookiee Jedi named Kel Naka who prefers to live alone. It's cool that he's portrayed by Juna Suotamo. Kel Naka is played by Juna Suotamo, who also portrayed Chewbacca in recent Star Wars films. It's unusual to see a Wookiee like Kel living alone because we usually think of Wookiees as social and loyal, much like Chewbacca, who was inspired by George Lucas's dog. Kel is not your typical Wookiee. He reminds me of someone who prefers solitude. Kel reminds me of someone who retired to be alone, but then gets drawn back in for a last task. In the trailer, we see Soul using the Force to either trick someone, calm them down, or both. Then he ends up fighting May. It looks like they recognize each other, and May seems surprised to see him. In the ACOLYTE, Westra isn't often seen in her mission robes going on adventures. As the show progresses, it will become clear why she's so experienced and deeply connected to the Force. In this series, she acts more like a high-ranking official, and other Jedi really respect her. It's been a couple of hundred years since the time described in the High Republic books. Do share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button before you go. We'll meet you in the next one.